Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore all sorts of topics of interest for professionals at this intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm really happy that you've decided to join me on this episode. I'm a public health entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in both healthcare and public health. And I've also been podcasting since 2017. I've supported many entrepreneurs along the way. On this topic today, we're going to dive into the approach to year-end planning that is specifically tailored for public health entrepreneurs like yourself. There are 4 strategies that I want to share with you as you begin this process of year-end business review. Now, I realize that you may be listening to this at some other time besides the time that we release. You may be listening after the first of the year, or you may be in the middle of the summer. I don't want you to tune out and think that it's irrelevant. I would love for you to listen to these strategies. You may decide to do your business review at any time during the year, and it's not just a end of the calendar year mark, and it's not too early or too late to embrace some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you. Okay, in no specific order, let's start with the first one, business review and analysis. Now, I encourage you to evaluate which projects or clients generated the most impact and revenue. Now, again, this is specifically focused on this end of the year as I'm getting ready to lead a strategic planning session with the members of my mastermind group program. And we're going to dive deeply into what has worked for the year and what has not worked. And I'm going to speak from that perspective that maybe you're listening to this in real time as it's being released in late November and you're looking, or early December. I'm not sure exactly when this one comes out as I'm recording early, but yeah, I'm going to be speaking from that perspective that you're getting ready to put these into practice. But again, like I said a few minutes ago, no matter where you are listening, what time of the year you're listening, you can embrace these strategies or these practices. Okay. So evaluate which clients and what projects were the most impactful or profitable, generated the most revenue for your business. So you can start there. Review those because it gives you a real strong hint about, what you want to keep doing more of and what you want to cut back and do maybe less of. Review your resources, how you've allocated your resources and your ROI, your return on investment on these different initiatives. In other words, that's what I was kind of alluding to a minute ago. And I said, see how profitable they are. You first want to look at what generated the most revenue, and then look at what the expenses were like and what it cost you in terms of all your resources to decide what was the most profitable, as well as what provided you with the biggest return on your investment of time and resources. Analyze which of these public health areas are maybe growing or declining. Now, this is a bit of a predictive method here because we don't really know where we're going, especially right now we're just following a very close presidential election, a very significant presidential election. And all of us in public health are very concerned about what next steps look like for health. So as a consultant and entrepreneur, you may have your ideas about where we are growing or declining, depending on what your niche area is in public health. But this is a good time to review that and identify emerging public health trends. What could inform this next wave or next year's focus? Is there something based on what has happened recently as a result of the election and the new administration that will shift your focus for next year? This is a great time to be thinking about all of those things as you're looking to decide what to do more of and what to cut back on, and maybe if you're going to make a shift. Okay, so that business review and analysis is really important. Everyone has their own customized way of doing this, or you develop it over time. But at the very minimal, you're looking to see what worked, what didn't work, where did you get your biggest return on investment, what was the most profitable, and then making some good guesstimates about where you think things are going and if whether or not you need to make any sorts of shifts in focus for your business going into the new year. All right, here's number 2. The second strategy I want to share with you is about knowledge and skills updates. Review the latest in terms of research or policy changes and identify skill gaps based on maybe client requests that you've had that you couldn't fulfill, or maybe what you think is going to be needed. Plan professional development for emerging areas that we just talked about. I could give you a few examples: digital health, health equity, but you know what the emerging areas are for you and your business. And maybe this is a good time to plan for those professional development activities or programs. And update your credentials or certifications if there are any that are needed. Sometimes many of you carry credentials that require continuing education credits and things like that. So this is a good time to just assess in general the knowledge and skills. This is a good time to do maybe an audit of those and see what's needed and what's necessary and plan for those going into the new year. So my third strategy to share with you is your end of the year review is systems and operations. So update your contract templates. If you use a template for your contracts or service agreements, this is a good time to go through those, make any updates so that this is a part of your systems and operations. So how you do business as you are preparing proposals and responding to RFPs and meeting with new clients, the whole business development phase, how you're doing business. So if you're using some sort of a template, then this is a good time to just review those. Any agreements that you use in your business, review those and see if there's anything that needs to be updated. Review or refresh any of your standard operating procedures. We are currently doing that right now in my business. I think I'm driving my team nuts. They probably don't feel that way, but they're very organized. My core team is very organized. Although it's very tedious work, they appreciate the opportunity to sort of gut out the closet, clean out things and refresh some of our procedures. Because when you're busy and you're flowing from project to project, client to client, you're not really necessarily updating your operating procedures, not major changes. So sometimes if you set aside that for the end of the year as a project, it's a good time to refresh those standard operating procedures. Clean up your client database and your project management systems as well. I've been doing that. Sometimes as you start to clean up, you realize, oh, wow, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Maybe I'll just send an email and see how they're doing. Just a quick check-in. And then also your project management systems. I think we use tools that we really enjoy. We're not looking to change those tools, but those tools are always being updated. There are new features that we just haven't explored. So this is a good time for us to see what new features are being offered by the softwares that we love and try to incorporate that into what we do. And then evaluate or update your tech stack if needed. So your tech stack is what is your go-to suite of services, softwares that your company uses. Project management or how you communicate or how you organize your files, that's your tech stack. Your go-to for video and recording. This is a good time to make those updates, evaluate what's working, what you like about it, and if you want to make any changes. There's one particular software that I always review at the end of the year. And sometimes I think, well, we need to make that change. And I'll say throughout the year, at the end of the year, we're going to evaluate and compare some programs and look at options, because this is just a good time to make changes if you're planning to do anything like that. All right. So finally, number 4, the last strategy I want to share with you is strategic planning. And that's what I'm going to be hosting in our group mastermind program in just a couple of weeks. This is where you set aside specific revenue goals for your business. And I'll talk about that in more detail with my mastermind group. But I'll just tell you that are listening now, I would suggest having maybe a good, better, best type of a revenue goal. If you struggle with, do I make just one big ambitious goal, hit it or not? Or do I stay comfortable? I never recommend just staying comfortable, but stretch yourself a little bit. I think as we grow, that's really important. But set a revenue goal. Maybe a good goal is this number, stretches you a little bit. A better goal would stretch you a little further. And then the best goal may be that really ambitious one that just gets you really pumped up and activates everyone on your team. It's one thing to set the goal. The other part of that is map out a plan to achieve the goal. That's the part that is not as much fun, but it is necessary. So whatever your good, better, best goal is, map out a strategy to help you achieve that goal. Identify a target or target clients or organizations that you would like to work with. Maybe, I refer to them as ideal client types. And also identify some conferences or events that are coming up next year where maybe those ideal client types are hanging out that you decide you want to attend. Another part of strategic planning is to plan content for thought leadership that maybe not exactly the detail of all of that, but maybe themes for what you want to share, discuss in terms of thought leadership, because that's an important part of being able to accomplish that goal, attracting those right clients and hitting those revenue goals. And then also consider potential partnerships or collaborations. I'm a huge fan of collaborating with like-minded folks in this industry. We are a broad field, but very few in terms of public health entrepreneurs and consultants. And when you find people that you have a synergy with and you can work well with, I encourage you. Those collaborations are very strong. And it's not just collaborations with other public health entrepreneurs and professionals, but, consider those cross collaborations across industries, partnerships with other similar industries where you can provide service and benefits to each other. Those are always really important. And that's all a part of strategic planning. So once again, 4 strategies that I recommend for you as you consider your year-end review is business review and analysis. The second one we talked about was knowledge and skills update. And then thirdly was systems and operations. And then finally, strategic planning was number 4. I know that's a lot. You may want to replay this one if you didn't take notes as I sped through it the first time. But pick one of those if you feel like all of it's too much, or maybe chop it up, maybe work on one of them for a week or so and then the next one. And you can do this review over a long period of time. You've got and I like doing these at the end of the year because it allows me to start the new year fresh. Some people just want to get through the year and do all of this at the very beginning of the year. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong. But these are some strategies that I believe are a high priority for us as public health entrepreneurs. So before we go, I would like to remind you about our amazing mastermind group program. You heard me mention it a couple of times in the examples because we are about to have that deep dive strategic planning session. I'm offering this to my mastermind group members free of charge as a benefit for being a member in the program. And even the new members that are coming on in this new enrollment season will have an opportunity to join in on this strategic planning session. We spend I'm going to block off an hour and a half because we need plenty of time to dive in. We're going to provide worksheets and I'll be in ultra coach mode as I guide people through all of the steps and things that I like to do in this end of the year review and strategic planning, getting ready for the new year. If you'd like to learn more about our mastermind group program, you can visit our website, publichealthentrepreneurs.com. Just click on mastermind and it'll take you to the page where there's a lot of information. And if it looks interesting to you, then I encourage you to submit an application because the only way that we'll follow up and know that you're interested is if you apply. So I encourage you to do so if this is something that you think would be of value to you. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day.